Hey guys, welcome to Nerdarchy for Nerds by Nerds. I'm Nerdarchist Ryan, and today I'm joined by
Nerdarchist Dave,
Nathan Nerdarch,
Nerdarchist Ted.
And today we're going to discuss when the adventure of your dreams turns into an absolute nightmare.
Jump down in the description below where you can sign up for Nerdarchy the newsletter. It's a great way to get gaming tips as well as learn how to game with Nerdarchy.
So very much in the style of our Usurper video where you guys within like 30 seconds guessed the Lion King, we're going to do another movie and we're going to D&D-ize it, and then at the end of this video, whenever you're ready to actually timestamp in the comments below when you figure out what movie we're talking about and what the theme is.
A little hint, it's Lion King again.
No one will expect the second Lion King.
Lion King 2.
It's one of the sequels, yeah.
2.0 Lion King.
The Chipmunk's the squeakquel, actually.
Yeah. So we got this premise where the adventuring party, the players, a knowledge cleric comes to them. Or was it a knowledge cleric, or do we go with...
It could be a knowledge cleric or some sort of arcane character.
So someone who is a spellcaster of sorts.
Someone who's in the know, magically speaking.
Right, but we're using...
An Eladrin.
Eladrin.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So it's come to them from the feywild, is trying to convince the player characters that what's going on isn't real and they're trapped in a dream.
Right.
And they want to break them out of the dream. You can start off by having, adventures in the dream, and then perhaps eventually this knowledge cleric enacts a ritual. And in this ritual, the players can then come out of the dream.
Right. So, and I would say too that like every once in a while these sort of hard to explain things happen in the world that they've been adventuring, like
phantasmals, or fantastic, things even for their fantasy world.
Gates open up maybe the things that they've, like mephits or something, they have hitherto never really interacted with, or something sort of strange could happen.
But as they go on, they learn they escape the dream world and go into the real world, what they learn is there's this convergence of the planes happening where the feywild and the prime material are being merged. These High Lord Fey creatures have basically been capturing mortals so that they can incorporate the mortal world into the Feywild. And it's the psychic energy of mortals that is keeping them from keeping this convergence from happening.
Right.
So they've been collecting mortals and basically putting them into these arcane apparatuses.
Or it even could just be like slabs with like vines or something. They crawl around, and their dream energy is kind of fueling this convergence.
Yeah, you can make it kind of nature-y, or kind of what would a Fae do if they wanted to interact with your dreams.
Yeah, I almost see like rose bushes growing out of the mortals and the slabs, and
or
the
vines with like
going.
suckers. I could see vines with like the sucker
the
type
tendrils,
of
coming up to the skull and right at the
Well, in your version, maybe there's suckers. In mine, it just goes like right into the skin and into the veins.
You could do that as way. Like maybe
suckers
like,
would be octopuses.
Maybe with like the thorns actually clamping on.
Yeah. Well, maybe if we did it with illithids instead of Fae, then it would definitely be suckers.
Yeah.
So the party becomes like these freedom fighters, and they're trying to break people out of out of this state and free them from the dream. The Fey Highlords are sending their servants to seek and find them and prevent them from taking over these like little strongholds they have all over the prime material plane, where they've got mortals kind of like squirreled away in storage.
Yeah, these little enclaves, these little fortresses. So you can use all the sort of Fey monsters you want to use, and maybe they have other sort of beasties that you could use. Maybe they have access to elementals if you wanted to reinforce this sort of nature-y theme. They could use like earth elementals because they have the siege quality for breaking things down, which is going to be solid.
You also have the ability to reskin anything you want of appropriate challenge and just call it a Fey of whatever description you want to use.
Now, a quirky thing about this particular style campaign, I was thinking that you could have the characters have two characters. You have the character that's in the dream world, which is whatever they imagine themselves to be when they're dreaming. Maybe like pick out a more heroic figure, and then they have this kind of like the real world where they are awake, and maybe they're a fighter that always dreamed of being a wizard. So in the dream world, they cast magic and can fly.
Yeah, or the wizard that's a barbarian, or the pacifist cleric that's actually like a raging barbarian in the dream world because they get to take all those aggression out. That
I can finally be angry.
Right. So perhaps these like rebels, these resistance fighters, have a secret base where they actually have their own like their own fey constructs that they can go into. You know, they have someone that operates it from the outside in order to bring them in and out of the dream.
Yeah.
But they have their own slabs.
Somebody that keeps the ritual there. Yeah.
Yes, they can enact the ritual or disrupt it if they need to.
Maybe the first mission is to take over. Like the first adventure can be once they realize what's going on and are out of the dream world, they can take over like one of the little hubs. And then that can be like their main base operation from what.
Oh yeah, exactly. And they capture it, and then going forward, some of the missions, some of the quests are in the dream world. You know, there's objectives that can only be met there, and sometimes there's objectives that can only be met on the outside. And if you really wanted to get complicated with it, you could actually have objectives that have to be done at the same time, inside and out.
Yeah, that'd be really cool.
Fold that, never split the party.
Oh, you're splitting. And you're
Splitting them
right
in
hard.
your mind.
Yes. From the Fey Lords, it could rise up one that is even more of an antagonist to the players than any of the others. Like they've taken this personal.
Right.
That the players have risen up and they're mucking with their plans and machinations.
Yeah, like this person could be like a level of like granting pacts, fey pacts to people.
Right.
You know, they could be like, kind of almost godly. Or it could be maybe one of his patrons so one of the people that he's granted power to, a warlock of this fey, maybe, could be his main thing that he sends to encounter and antagonize the party.
Oh yeah, that could be it. Or like the other end of it, could maybe both, right?
Yeah,
maybe
why not both?
Maybe he's got his champion that he sends, against the players in the party. But maybe one of the players happens to be a Fey Pack warlock of this guy, and it's kind of like been has totally affronted him. That he's kind of sided with the rest of the mortals. That could be what's really drawn the attention of the Fey Lords, and this one in particular that has it nastily in for him. And it also comes back to the idea that of having a character that's a warlock character that's kind of at odds with their patron.
So that being said, the Fey Lords are also against this idea of too many of the humans or whatever demi races or mortals that are into this thing. Too many of them becoming awake is going to mess up the convergence that they've nicely set up. So they're going to want to stamp out people that are kind of coming out of this state that they put them in.
Right.
Or maybe it's already messing it up. Maybe it's almost like creating almost like this fantasy post-apocalyptic version of the feywild and the material plane, as the convergence is now imperfect. Mm-hmm. And there's just these pockets of
things that
brokenness.
butt against each other weirdly and kind of distorted or whatever.
So like you could have things that don't make sense there, or like even like magic or gravity doesn't work the way it's supposed to.
You could have like a burning lake.
Yeah, or similar to how we have the chaos storms. I mean, there's like just like barren chaos wastes where weird things happen, but there's also just like not a lot of stuff. There's not really living things, and if there's weird abominations and stuff happening.
You could have crazy things where like a tower merged with a great tree, so it becomes this gnarl tower tree sort of hybrid sort of thing.
Yeah, where there's parts of the Feywild that are kind of converged and they're even more wild and dangerous than they've ever been, and maybe the really like the dark aspects of the Feywild are really coming through there. But as more of the mortals break free, they're going to need a place to go, and they're kind of going to need a place to hide out in order to avoid the Fey High Lords and their servitors.
That's true. So they definitely are going to need a stronghold somewhere.
Yes, perhaps catacombs or tunnel networks or sewers in one of the great cities. They start taking up refuge there.
Maybe there's a colony of dwarves that have already sort of because dwarves are really good at shrugging off things and magical effects and stuff like that. So maybe like there's some dwarves that'll give them safe shelter.
Oh, you could put another spin on it, and maybe like a colony of Dugar.
Oh yeah.
Has actually...
So they're a little antagonistic, but eventually negotiate, like, hey, look, this is what could happen. And you guys don't like elves?
Well, yeah,
or
it could
Fae,
actually be
Fae.
Helping the world is better than letting the whole world get taken over by the Feywild and elevate these Fey High Lords that they have no respect for any of the mortal creatures of this world.
Well,
anyway,
perhaps part of it is actually going and convincing them that this is the proper way. And typically, since Duergar are emotionless, they have to Like, all right, how is this going to profit you?
And it's just like, look, Faye, they're not going to care about your well-made stuff. They're not going to buy anything. It's not going to happen.
Yeah, they're gonna. What was the Fey Underdark? There's definitely like a Fey Underdark in or feywild Underdark in.
I don't remember that.
In 4th edition with the Fomorians and stuff as well.
I just keep thinking of Shadowfell, but that's not.
But you know, I just see now, like in my mind, I envision these Fomorians like ravaging through the tunnels, looking for the rebels and trying to root them out. You know, and maybe maybe the resistance has to come up with some kind of magical weapon to kind of like put them down, but it's like a last resort thing because it interferes with their other defenses.
Right.
Well, like some kind of if you had some kind of arcane thing, you can always wave away any kind of like inconsistencies and stuff. You're
Well,
like,
I mean,
it's a magical thing.
If it's powerful enough, it kind of like when it triggers, it triggers on both sides of the prime material and the sort of Fey world. So like it kind of is a little beacon when it gets used.
Yeah, maybe it could either draws attention to the fact that that thing was used, or maybe it disrupts magic in the area. So people, you basically, if you don't have a stick or a sword, you're in trouble, kind of thing for a while until the residual of it goes away.
I mean, even with detect magic spells, like if it's high enough magic, like eventually, you would think that these Fey Lords would be able to detect magic, and certain emanations, right, would lead you to these little fortresses, these bolt holes.
You know, maybe it creates like an anti-phase zone, temporarily, but at the same time, like there's side effects. That's why otherwise it'd be the perfect weapon, right? But they don't use it, use it, and there's a reason for it. Maybe the effect is it feeds off of all magic near it. If you're a spellcaster, it's going to almost eat some of your life force. If you have magic items, it could totally deplete them. So that's why this is kind of like an item of last resort. It also needs things to feed it too. So you have to have the resources as well. With that, the only way that they'll eventually be able to free all the mortals and break free is to eventually start confronting these Fey High Lords. And this could be like a whole campaign of them gearing up and getting powerful enough to be able to take them on.
Gearing up, a little like terroristic espionage episodes and things like that happening to further dent the sort of feywild overlay on the prime material plane.
Yeah, they may find that one or two of them is going to be not as hard on the topic of, we're definitely going to take over this. And maybe they were like, we went along with it because we didn't want to be ousted as against the other Fey Lords. So you might find a sympathetic voice within the higher ups.
And there could be, you could have plot lines where people are actually want to go back to the way the dream world was, because that was
better.
It was better than dealing with the harsh reality as things exist and butted up against one another. It was just easier that way.
There's a stability in the dream world that's not found in the weird amalgam, mashup of the Feywild and the regular world.
There's all kinds of alliances and things that could be made in and around this concept.
At some point too, you're probably like going along with those that realize that the real world sucks. So I want to be in the fake dream world, So that's probably going to fuel an NPC or two to betray them in the end.
Yeah, to defect.
So you could all work all that in there. Some cool plot lines. I don't know, guys. What do you think of this kind of game? Would you want to play in it? Let us know in the comments below. While you're at it, like, share, and subscribe. Don't forget to tell us what movie you think we're talking about. We're going to tell you at the end of the week when we do our live Q&A.
You can check out the articles over at nerdarchy.com.
You can check us out over on Facebook.
You can also tweet at us over on Twitter.
So until next time, stay nerdy.